welcome back to another episode of Pet Star, a Doc of Detox show. I'm Abby Michelle here with my stunning co-host, Dr. Marlene Siegel. How are you doing today?
It's an amazing day in Florida, Abby. I think we're a little warmer than you, but it
Oh,
actually was in the 40s last night.
oh, wow, that's chilly for Florida.
And it's a wet cold here. So, yeah, it
Oh,
was really cold.
so it feels even colder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we've actually had really good weather here lately. I've been so happy. It's still cold. Anything below, well, 25 Celsius. I don't know what that is in
Uh,
Fahrenheit.
yeah.
Anything below that is cold to me, though, and it's been yeah, below zero. So, but it's all
Well, we're
good.
doing amazing
Yeah.
here. So, all good.
Yes, we don't have any snow, so I'm happy. So before we get started today, I would just like to let everyone know that if you can't watch our shows live, you can go to docofdetoxshow.com or to our Doc of Detox YouTube channel to view all of our past shows. On our YouTube channel, you can also have the option of using closed caption, where the spoken words will come up on the screen in the language of your choice. So that's super amazing, so versatile for everybody around the world to be able to watch our shows. And you can also slow down the video if we're talking too fast for you, or if you just like it to be at a slower pace. I know I can be a motor mouth sometimes, so you have that option. All right, now for some other announcements. Dr. Wolfe and I will be back on December 18th with Braveheart Nation, where we will be sharing some of our favorite tips on how to survive the holidays. For those of you who haven't already signed up for our Braveheart online emotional training course, it is currently on sale for $97, and you can go to braveheartway.com to sign up. We have also updated our course schedule for 2019. So we are going to be in Adelaide, Australia, February 1st to the 12th for Wolfe Deep Tissue and Wolfe Non-Surgical certifications. And we will be in Kelowna, BC from May 4th to the 24th for our combined certification. And we will be back in St. Petersburg, Florida from June 9th to the 27th, again for the combined certification. And for those of you who are not sure what is included in the combined certification, it is our whole life coach, Wolfe Deep Tissue, and Wolfe Non-Surgical. And you also get Braveheart for free with any of those certification courses. And one last thing before we get into our topic today, I am excited to announce that we now have our new line of products, and they are the Pet Star product line, which utilizes our humic and fulvic acid products. So this is super exciting because our humic and fulvic acid is 100% safe, effective, and organic, and I'm so happy that all of our fur babies out there now get to experience the amazing benefits that these supplements offer. So you can definitely check those out on our store. It's store.docofdetox.com. So let's get to it. Today's episode is called How to Keep Your Pets Safe During the Holidays. And this is so important to know because we can easily get so distracted this time of year. There's so much going on, holiday parties, whatever it might be, so many relatives coming over. There's a lot of stuff happening. So what are some of the emergencies you see this time of year, and how can pet owners safeguard their pets for the holiday season?
I'm thrilled to talk about this topic because we really do have an issue. Any time of the year, we have emergencies. But in particular, this time of year, it can be even more devastating. You know, the holidays are the time of the year where we assume everybody is happy and they're with family and everything is just rosy peachy keen.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that don't have family, or this is not a good time of the year for them. It could be a time of a lot of depression and sadness and loss. So we really want to start with honoring the fact that not everybody's at the same place. And we want to take the joy and the gratitude and the blessings that we have, and first and foremost, reach out to others and make sure that we offer the gifts that we have to others, so that we're embracing everybody. We're making sure that we're not leaving anybody out that we have contact with. And I think it's a great time of the year to reach out and do something that you haven't done before, something that would be of service to others in your community.
Totally.
Okay,
That's
so
beautiful.
that was my
Thank you
little spiel.
Yes, and thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's so important for everybody out there to hear. And that's just so true. So many people are going through different experiences, and we can never judge or look at somebody else's situation and think that we know what's going on in their lives. So it's so good and
Yes.
so important to just spread the love and the gratitude to everybody that we meet.
Yes, I have so many friends that have lost loved ones during the holiday season. And even if it was a long time ago, it's that time of the year where, as much happiness as what we have, we also remember those who aren't there with us any longer.
Yeah,
And that includes our fur babies. There's a lot of people who it's not their pet, it's their fur child, it's their
totally.
soul pet.
Yeah,
So we want to just be cognizant that
yeah,
there can be a lot of hurt and sadness going on at the time of the year where we hope everybody else is having joy as well.
definitely. That
So let's talk about
actually,
some of the emergencies.
yeah.
Now, I do emergency work. Amongst everything else, we actually take our own emergency calls, which is interesting because I've done emergency work my entire career. Before I got into veterinary school, I was a paramedic. So
Okay.
I love taking emergencies. You have to have a constitution for that. So this time of the year, we see a lot of cooking emergencies. Let's start with chocolate. There's a lot of baking going on. There's a lot of people that not only are baking with chocolate, but that make chocolates and chocolate cookies and they leave them on the counters.
Mm-hmm.
The chocolate that is most toxic to animals are the dark chocolates, and baker's chocolate is one of the most toxic.
Oh,
There is
interesting.
there's an ingredient in chocolate called theobromine.
Mm-hmm.
The higher the content of theobromine, the more toxic the chocolate is.
Okay.
So we suggest that a safe proof the house and don't leave cooking things out. Don't leave your chocolates out. Don't leave your pantries open. We
Mm-hmm.
had a case many years ago where the wife went into labor at this time of the year, and in the rush, they left the pantry door open, and the baker's chocolate was on the lower shelf, and the dog went in and ate gobs. I mean, it was, the squares, the whole block
Oh,
of
wow. Oh my
chocolates.
gosh, that's
And
so
I
much.
don't remember how many he ate, but he did die.
Oh
So
no.
it was really devastating that here they're going to have a baby and then they come back and their dog is
Yeah.
super toxic. Vomiting, diarrhea, hyperactivity. It can inflame the pancreas. It can
Oh,
lead to
wow.
pancreatitis, cause heart arrhythmia, seizures. And like I said, depending on the amount that they got, it could actually result in death. The best way to prevent the problem is, of course, to prevent it by not leaving stuff out. But
Yeah.
God forbid it does happen, you want to call poison control.
Mm-hmm.
There's an animal poison control, and they'll ask how much they ate, how long ago they ate it, and the weight of the animal. And they can calculate based on the type of chocolate how much theobromine exposure there was, and then they can offer some mitigation for that.
Okay.
So, number two, oh, before I leave the topic of the chocolates, we have a tendency for parties and just day in and day out of leaving extra yummies out on countertops. That's where we get into problems because
Mm-hmm.
these animals will jump on the counters, they'll jump on tables, and we see at Halloween time as well, we'll see animals that tear through the bag and they eat the tin foil and
Oh my
everything.
goodness.
So you just can't leave stuff out. It's about baby proofing your home
Mm-hmm.
and making sure things are safe.
Yeah.
The second area that we have a real big problem with are prescription and non-prescription medications. So prescription medications, of course, are the ones that you got a prescription. You want to be careful that wherever you have those prescriptions, that they're over a counter where pieces, or you can't drop something on the floor because somebody's going to come by and scarf that. And of course, the non-prescription drugs are maybe the wacky weed or some of the recreational products that
Mm-hmm.
are very common this time of year.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that our pets don't get into that. We see several marijuana toxicities in our dogs and cats a year.
Okay.
So please make sure that you put all your stuff away and you don't drop anything and you don't leave it where animals can have exposure to it.
Okay. So marijuana is toxic for animals.
Well, they're going to have reactions to it. It's
Yeah.
not so it's toxic at higher doses,
Yeah.
but they're certainly going to have neurologic effects.
Okay.
Yeah. So then
Interesting.
when you go into the veterinarian or the emergency clinic, please be honest and tell them what you think they got into because it's really hard on our end
Mm-hmm.
to look at an animal and start wondering what are the cause of the neurologic symptoms.
Yeah.
So
And a
I
lot of
tend to always ask, is there anything recreational around? we had one incident where the family did not use any marijuana, but one of their workers did.
Oh,
And the worker had a bag that fell out of his truck on the ground, and the dog got into the bag. So it wasn't until they went home, and we actually did a urine test, and that's how we confirmed that's exactly what it was.
oh, okay.
And yeah, and they had to go back and check with their employees, and then somebody did fess up and admit that they had a bag in the car which fell out, and that's how the problem came.
And that's
So
a big thing you see even with people when they go to the doctor. They don't want to admit that they did something because they are embarrassed about it or they don't want to get in trouble for it. But we need to know all of the facts so that we can give the best help possible. So it's so important
absolutely,
with your pets and with yourself to always just put it all out on the table.
absolutely, it could mean the difference between a life-saving measure and a not.
Exactly.
Another area that we see a lot are during the holidays are grease accidents. And that includes getting grease poured on an animal by accident.
Mm.
You know, sometimes the dogs will get under our feet, or the cats will rub up under and trip you up. And here you are carrying a big pot of hot grease. And we had that incident happen where somebody accidentally poured grease on their pet, and it did cause severe enough burns that the animal did pass away.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
So you really want to be careful about what grease, it's hot, making sure that animals can't walk across it and you don't accidentally spill it on them. And then also for consumption, especially if it's not organic, but you want to make sure you're covering your pots and you're not leaving things where animals can get into it.
Right.
I know I sauteed some stuff last night in coconut oil, and I just left the saute pan. It was already cold and all that, but my cat went right over there, and before I could catch him, he was licking the coconut oil. So thank God that was a good oil.
Yeah.
But point is, they're going to get into it if you aren't careful.
Yeah, definitely. Totally with cats or different animals that can jump up on the counters and they're going to get into whatever they want to get into, right?
Yes. So of course your grease and any of your other holiday foods, which we mentioned earlier, the cakes and the pastries and the chocolates. Now, you'd be surprised at this next one, but we get at least one between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we didn't have one for Thanksgiving this year, so I think Christmas we're due. And that is pets overeating.
Oh, okay.
And they will stuff themselves when meat is available, and they'll eat maybe the leftover turkey or the leftover ham or the leftover chicken or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And the people have left it on the counter thinking everybody's going to, the family's going to drift through and nibble on it. And then nobody's paying attention to the pet, and the pet goes through and absolutely gorges themselves. And poor things, they're kind of like us when we overeat.
Yeah.
They're so uncomfortable, and they can't digest it, and they get gas and bloaty, and it's really it's an uncomfortable position to be in.
Yeah.
So please don't let them overeat. Make
Yeah.
sure you're paying attention to what you're leaving out on the counters.
Yeah.
Next one I had was tinsel ingestion. We had a kitty cat that ate, when I tell you, I fit 2 handfuls of tinsel that I took out of this animal's intestinal tract. It was a massive amount. I have no idea what prompted this cat to eat that much, but it just became a foreign body impaction, and we had to go in surgically and actually remove 2 fistfuls of tinsel from this kitty cat's tummy. So from then on, we've always been very cautious to warn owners about, and we'll go into tree protection here in a minute, but please be careful of your ornaments and the tinsel and even the snow and the fake stuff that they can eat it. So be careful.
Wow, that's wild. That's so much tinsel. It's like, what would urge in a cat to want to eat tinsel? It's not like it tastes good or anything.
I don't know. Playing with it, it just kept swallowing it.
I guess.
It was bizarre. Totally bizarre.
That's so.
We usually have at least one electrocution sometime over the holidays, and that's where animals start chewing on usually the wiring of lights. The low voltages aren't too bad, but sometimes people have high voltage wiring in the lights, and the animals will chew on that. So again, be careful. We had several incidences over the years where trees fell over on the pets as the cats were trying to climb the tree. So you want to make sure, we'll go over this in more detail when we get into solutions about making sure the tree is secured and protected from the animals not being able to either jump on the tree, bounce into the tree, or bump into the tree.
Right.
Another area that I really, really want to emphasize is animals escaping from the house. Now, there's a lot of pet owners that don't want to take and board their animals. I get that. And they'll have a pet sitter come in. But we inevitably will have somebody where the pet sitter loses the pet because they go out the front door, it wasn't closed all the way, or they open the door and weren't as careful as you may be, or the pet just escapes.
Right.
So really, really careful about that. And if you have company over, then know that the more people that are coming in out of the door, if you have an escapee, there's a greater chance that they're going to leave.
Yeah.
My own cat got out one day. We had workers in the house, and the garage door was open, and I come back in and I instantly knew he wasn't in the house. And it was 3 days before I found him.
Oh,
I can
wow.
tell you the agony that I share with pet owners when you don't know what happened to them. You don't know if they're okay. You don't know if they're suffering.
Yeah.
And I just kept walking the yard, and it was literally Christmas Day of last year.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I just walked the yard one more time. I got up early and I'm out there calling his name and I'm crying. I'm thinking I'm never going to see him again. And I came around the back of my house and he's sitting up on one of the chairs on the porch.
Oh my
just
goodness.
looking at me. So
like, I've been here the whole time,
I know.
Mom. What's up?
It's horrible when they get out of the house and you aren't knowing what happened to them.
I know what that's like. I remember my dog when I was a kid, like when I was younger, living at home, and she ran out the door. Luckily, I was like, saw it happen, so I chased after her instantly. But they can run so quick, and they don't know where they're going. They don't really know what exactly, like, at least I don't think they do. I don't really know why they do that. But I luckily caught her, but I was like, that's the scariest feeling ever when they just run out, especially with all the cars and traffic and just other people. You never know who's out there, right? So
absolutely. And you got to see her and chase after her, but God forbid something happens. So we just want to make sure that you're extra cautious during the holiday season because it really happens before you realize that you're carrying boxes in. So just be careful.
Totally.
Another area that I really want to make people aware of, and that is some of the artificial sweeteners like xylitol. Xylitol is a nice sweetener for us to use. However, it is toxic to animals. So you want to look at chewing gum that has xylitol in it, or any other products that you may have in the household that uses xylitol as a sweetener. A lot of people use that in their cooking. And again, if the animal gets into it, you may have a problem.
Okay.
So be careful with the xylitol.
Good to know. And I've also heard with xylitol, new research has been coming out that it isn't as good for even humans as they thought it was originally. The way that they're processing it, I guess, is it's not as good as they once thought. So stevia, I think, is a better choice, but I haven't done extensive research on that yet. I just heard it from a few people down the line. So that's something to look into as well for your own consumption.
Excellent. Next area is the holiday drinks, particularly the alcoholic one. You know, a lot of times we're having a party, people put their, what is it, the red Solo cup?
Yeah, red Solo cup, yep.
and the red Solo cup is still sitting there, and the animals will come through and start licking out of it.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds gross, but it happens.
Totally.
And some of that alcohol can actually be toxic as well.
Yeah.
So
is there a certain level of alcohol that like a dog can handle or a cat can handle, or is it dependent on their weight? Just for people to gauge it if it does happen.
Well, no alcohol is best.
Yeah, of course.
Heart and the liver and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think you would just have to see the type of alcohol that you have, the weight and size of the animal, and just see if they have any symptoms from it.
Okay. And one thing that you could do with your pets if they do get into any alcohol or things that are bad for them, with the new Pet Star line, there is the fulvic acid, which is really good for any food poisonings or any type of poison coming into them. It is the only product that can bioremediate any toxin without any harmful effects on the body. So for humans and pets, so it's beautiful.
Humic and fulvic are just the best products in the world.
So good.
We already talked about alcohol, cookie doughs, and desserts, and making sure, especially the things that have yeast in them, if they're not cooked, that can be pretty toxic.
Okay.
Tobacco products, cigars, cigarettes, nicotine, the gums, the patches. Keep those ashtrays out of the reach. Better yet, stop using them. Stop smoking.
Yeah.
Because Cigarette butts contain about 25% of the total nicotine in a cigarette. I don't know if
Wow.
you knew that. So if
Wow.
even the butt is there, you're thinking, oh, they're only getting a small amount. That's
Right.
25% of the nicotine that's in there. And of course, we know the nicotine is going to have a tremendous not good effect on these
Yes,
animals.
totally. Yeah.
Some of the nuts and fruits and things that we leave out on our table, which we think are healthy, but can be a problem for our animals, including macadamia nuts,
Hmm.
grapes, raisins, and currants.
Okay.
So don't leave those out on the counters. Don't leave plates unattended. Remove your garbage bags. So you may think it's in the garbage bag and it's safe and it's a piece of plastic, and the animals are going to tear into that and have a feast. And we
Hmm.
call that garbage can enteritis, which means the gut and the stomach, everything gets really inflamed from whatever it is that was in the garbage that they consumed.
Okay.
So try to use the kind of garbage cans that have a secure lid on them.
Okay. Good to know.
Here's another one that I think is important when you have guests over. Please tell them, do not feed your animals. Make it really strong message.
Hmm.
And you'll still find people that won't respect that and they'll drop stuff. Or if they have kids and innocently they're eating and they drop things on the floor. If you have a concern about that, or you know you're going to be serving food that may not be good for your pet, and they could potentially pick up something that was dropped or eat off somebody's plate, then secure the animal in a room where they're not going to have access to that, or
Yeah.
board them at a boarding facility or somebody's house.
Yeah. No, that's totally an important tip. Around the dinner table, it's better to just keep the dogs in the kennel or in a room like you were saying. I know that that's I like all my family members who have pets, they always do that during the holiday time and it makes it a lot easier. I remember a few years where we would have the animals roaming free and it was interesting to say the least. Under the table, trying to like pick their head up on your lap, trying to get any little bit of food that they can get. It's cute, but not good for them.
No, not at all. So, do you have any questions, or do you want to go into some of the safety tips, the do's that we can
Yeah,
get into? We just covered a whole bunch of don'ts.
yeah, it was all very thorough and straightforward. I don't think I have any specific questions about the don'ts.
Okay.
Let's get into some do's. Let's talk
So
about that.
my number one thing would be during the holiday season, trying to keep pets eating and exercising as normal as whatever their normal routines are.
Okay.
Try to maintain that, because that's going to throw them off a lot less than if everything changes. So
Mm-hmm.
if that's possible, just try to keep your routines whatever they are.
Yeah.
Make sure you dispose of your plastics and aluminum foil that you're using during cooking so they don't ingest that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't digest very well through the gut.
Right.
The strings that are on the meat when you're cooking it, a lot of the roast have that string.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure that you put that into a container where they can't open that and get to that, because it has yummy juices and fats and it smells delicious
Okay.
and they're going to eat it.
Right.
So be careful with that.
They'll be having to pull a long string out of their butt.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about holiday plants. We have some that are pretty toxic, like the
Okay.
poinsettias and
Okay.
the holly and mistletoes and hibiscus and lilies. And there's a variety of different lilies that can be toxic. So if you have a choice on which plants that you want to have, try to pick ones that aren't toxic. If you're not sure, Google it and look and see. Don't buy them, which would
Yeah.
be the best thing. Or if you're going to buy them, put them in a place where you absolutely can secure that the animals can't get to them.
Okay. And do you know which ones aren't toxic out of any holiday plants, or is it just a
I know the
question for
Easter
Google?
lilies are not good, the stargazers, the day lilies. You just look them up online. I think
Okay.
that's the best thing. If there's a
Yeah.
plant that you like having every year, just make sure that if you have a dog, that it's up where they can't reach it. And if
Okay.
it's a cat, that you secure it to where they can't accidentally go out there and munch on it. It's amazing how these animals will munch on plants. My cat will actually munch on fake plants.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
No,
And
it's
he eats it and then
yeah.
he pukes.
Yeah, no, dogs are so funny that way. I know my little nephew Hugo, he will eat any little leaf, anything he finds on the ground. He'll eat dirt, he just digs in anything. It's so cute, but yeah, you're always like digging in his mouth. Get that out of there.
Pica at its best.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Christmas trees.
Yes.
There are several things that I recommend to people. And number one is secure it to the ceiling along with its base. So that way, if it is knocked, it's not going to fall over, right? We don't want any crushing injuries here.
Right.
And if you have a live tree, the water that you put in there, you don't want to have animals have any access to drinking the water, and those nutrients that you put in there, those are very toxic as well.
Oh, okay.
So you can put baby gates around it, you can put mesh around it, but do something so that the animals absolutely cannot get in there and drink from that.
How do you secure the tree to the ceiling?
You know, I've never had a tree. I'm Jewish, but I've seen blogs where they have a little hook that they put into the ceiling.
Okay.
And then they tie a little. Like, it's not even a rope, but it's
like fishing wire.
It's a nylon or something strong enough that's going to hold it that won't let it tip over. Okay. The other thing you can do is put it in a place where there's things around it. Oh, my daughter just had the funniest videos, and I guess there were old videos on. Was it on Facebook, I guess, and it was all these things that people do to protect the tree. I saw a tree that was saran wrapped. Now, that would not be my first choice.
No.
Why bother having the tree?
Yeah.
But they saran wrapped it from the cat so they couldn't get to the ornaments that were on there and either break or eat the ornaments.
Oh my goodness.
They put a baby gate around, a tall baby gate, so that the animals couldn't go across it. I saw them tie it to different parts of the wall, put it in the corner so they can't get to it.
Okay.
It was hysterical. Some of these cats that were literally leaping into the tree to get the ornaments.
Cats are so funny.
It was crazy. And then they climb their way all the way to the top, and then they're stuck, and then they fall off, and it's a mess.
Aw. So cute, but messy.
Yeah. So think about what barriers. I know there are some noise makers that if the animal crosses into that area, it'll make noise, and it's supposed to be like a scat mat and make them go away. I don't know if that's going to do the job. You might test that one before you put that out for your pets and make sure it does work.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's called the commercial scat mats.
Okay.
And there's also the invisible fence that can be. There's a company called Invisible Fence. Okay. And they make an indoor barrier, but you have to train the animal to it. They wear a little shock collar. And then if the animal gets too close to that barrier, it shocks them. And so they don't want to bypass that.
Yeah.
Make sure you're picking up, if you have a real tree, picking up your pine needles. Those are another toxin. So don't let them fall on the ground and accumulate, because they can be another source of toxins for these pets.
Yeah.
Some people put aspirin in the water of the tree.
Okay.
And of course, that would be highly toxic to our pets.
Yeah.
And the other thing I suggest is checking labels when you're looking at the artificial snow, the angel hair, making sure that you're getting products that are non-toxic.
Right.
Just in case, you want to make sure they're safe.
Yeah.
Keep the ornaments out of the reach of your pets. When there was another picture of all the ornaments were up high enough that the dogs couldn't get to it, and the whole bottom of the tree was bare. It was just hysterical what people did.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
This reminds me.
The lights on the lower branches, if the animals have access to chewing on that, or getting tangled up in them.
Right.
That was the other thing that we saw, is that sometimes they get tangled in it. They're playing, or they're moving through stuff, and then they just get caught.
Yeah.
And as they're trying to untangle themselves, everything goes falling over.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This reminds me of, do you remember the Mickey Mouse Christmas? I don't know if you ever saw that, where it's Mickey Mouse and Pluto putting together the Christmas tree, and then Chip and Dale come in and they just like destroy the tree because Pluto's chasing them throughout the tree and just like running all over. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was like my absolute.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was my absolute favorite Christmas show.
Some creative person did that from knowledge.
Yes, totally. It's like the cutest video ever. I wonder if it's on YouTube. If it is, I'll send it to you because it's just so cute to see.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
The one that Alyssa was watching yesterday was hysterical. Okay, so we talked about tinsel, but we also want to talk about the string, the ribbon, the yarn, sewing thread with the needle still on. You don't know how many times that people drop the thread in the animal, the cat particularly, when they have their little barbed tongue. And as they're picking up that thread and playing with it, and they swallow that, down goes the needle with it.
Ooh.
So making sure you're picking up all of your loose pieces, especially things that could be a linear foreign body. A linear foreign body is things that are long and stringy. And as they go through the gut, part of it goes through, the other part doesn't, and it starts to bind the intestines. And
Oh.
it'll saw right through the small intestine.
Ooh.
That's a fatal issue.
Ouch.
So making
Yeah.
sure you're picking all that up.
Yeah.
Confetti, another not good thing to ingest.
Mm-hmm.
Wrapping paper and loose toy parts,
Yeah.
right? They're always putting on the warnings for people, for children not to choke on them, but it's a hazard for the pets as well.
Definitely. And everybody's all over the place with their toys after Christmas. They're like, want to play with absolutely every toy they got, right? So there's going to be a lot of mess going on at that time. So it's good to keep the pets either like in a room separately again, or putting even a playpen around the children with their toys, so that way the dogs can't, or cats can't get in.
And think about the decorative ornaments and Christmas things that you put out on the counters, like snow globes and bubble lights and things like that. Because if somebody knocks that over, if the cat gets up on the counter and knocks it over and breaks it, think about it. That's going to be a toxic issue. You know, it's one thing to break a glass, but if there's toxins inside that as well, now you're exposing the animal to that, and they're not going to know not to walk through it or chew on it or lick it or drink it. Yeah. So you really want to make sure that the snow scenes, in particular in these snow globes, are very toxic.
Okay.
Styrofoam can be a choking hazard, and it's in every packing box of every toy that comes. Yeah. And the animals like to play with it and chew on it.
Yeah, no, that's a big one. I see that happen a lot. And lots of people don't realize how toxic they are. And they kind of, I've seen some people like, oh, it's fine. And then they'll pull it out of the mouth after a while, but they're still absorbing all of those toxins just from chewing on it a couple times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of toys for Christmas or Hanukkah, and the kids play with it for a little while and then they forget about it. And now those are laying around for the animals to start playing with, chewing on, ingesting. So make sure that you have a system where when toys come out, they are put away and you don't leave them there unattended for a mistake to happen. Especially things that have plastic pieces, rubber pieces, little balls. We had a dog one year ate it was like a Super Ball, and it wasn't humongous. It was, maybe the size of a golf ball, but it didn't pass. We had to go tummy diving to get it out. And then about 3 months later, the same dog ate a golf club. Not the golf club, the glove.
Okay.
That you
my God. How did that go down?
He ate the glove. And all we could see of the glove on the x-ray was the little metal snap. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at that going, what has a snap that all you can see is a round metal thing. Yeah. And we're watching it going through the intestinal tract, and thank God he passed that one. But it took about 4 days for him to pass it.
Oh, wow.
And when it came out afterwards, everyone went, oh, that's the snap on the golf glove. And it made sense, but you couldn't see the rest of the glove. So you had all I could do was see it going up and down and up and down. And we're following it on the x-ray every 12 hours and seeing it moving. It was quite interesting.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure you've seen some of the craziest things.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. We'll have to get to that.
We'll just leave it at yes.
Well, we were talking about episodes for 2019. Know what we should do? Like the top 20 craziest things you've seen.
We could start that start out the new year. The top that's a great idea, Abby. Thank you. Yeah. We'll just recap in January the craziest things we saw in 2018.
There we go. It's perfect. I love it.
I got a bunch. When you do emergency work, you really see the most interesting things, I will say.
I can imagine.
Some of them are kind of gross. We won't show pictures.
Okay, sounds good. We'll keep it PG.
So we talked about putting screens or some blocks and barriers around. We talked about electrical cords and gifts, lighted candles. We just finished Hanukkah, and this is true in households that are using actual candles and candelabras, is you want to be careful that if it gets knocked over by Kitty, that it's not going to fall over and catch fire to something. Right. We actually put ours, when we walk away, we put it in the sink. So it's a stainless steel sink. There's nothing that's going to catch fire in there. I have left them on my granite countertop, which is a huge granite countertop.
Mm-hmm.
But even there, if it falls over, you're going to have wax that spills and could burn, and it's
Yeah.
not going to hurt the granite. But I just put it down into the sink
Yeah.
if we're
Safer.
walking away, so that you don't have a chance of anything catching fire or
Right.
an animal getting burned.
Right.
Fireplaces, please make sure you put your fire screens on. It's cold this time of year. Even in Florida, people are lighting their fires, and you want to make sure that the animals don't get too close to the glass. I know I don't run the heat at all in my house in the wintertime. I feel like if I've spent that much money to cool it off in the summertime, then I'm going to enjoy that temperature while it's here. And so I think it's wrong on so many levels
That's
to
so
heat the
funny.
house after you spend all those months cooling it.
Yeah.
So I do have a little space heater in the bathroom, so when I come out of the shower, I am not freezing cold.
Yeah.
And my cat, he's senseless. He actually rubs right up next to it, so I have to keep moving him away so he doesn't get burned by the facing of it. So be paying attention to your fireplaces and the screens in the front, so animals don't get burned on that.
Okay.
Wires, batteries. Batteries are a big thing. I don't know why animals are drawn to chewing on batteries.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, don't leave your batteries laying around. They're very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Glass, plastic ornaments. Make sure they're out of paw's reach.
Okay.
Paw's reach. We talked about wires already. Unplugging your lights when you're not home is a real good idea, especially if the animals are free and loose in the house, so that if they're not plugged in, you're not going to have to worry about them chewing through the wire and getting electrocuted. Potpourri. A lot of potpourri can be toxic.
Okay.
So if you're running diffusers or you're doing potpourri pots, make sure they are out of reach where the animals can't get in there and eat them.
Yeah.
And if you're running essential oils and diffusers, please, please, please make sure that it's not too strong and the animals aren't trapped in that room where they can't get away from them.
Okay, I was gonna ask about that. If you knew like which oils are like a no-no for pets, if there are any specific ones, or is it generally just not, like you said, not keeping them in close vicinity to the diffuser and making sure it's more of a diluted one where it's mixed with water?
So to answer the toxic question, we got to be careful around tea tree and cats. And there's a few other oils that we could look up online. If you're not sure, just Google it. I think that's a great source for Google. But the main thing is nothing directly added to the animals unless you know what you're doing. And if it's a neat preparation or you have to use a carrier oil.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly is just not forcing them to be in a closed-in room with a lot of strong smell. They have to be able to get away. Cats can smell particles thousands of times greater than what we can smell.
Wow.
You know, they can smell things that are down the road.
Wow.
So you want to be careful that you don't overwhelm them with those smells.
Yeah, because I know our diffusers that we have, they're like ionizers, nebulizers. So you just put the essential oil straight in and it puts the essential oil straight into the air. You don't dilute it at all. So those would be very powerful for pets for sure. So the ones where you mix it with water would be more gentle, I guess, for pets.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful to have lavender going during the day, and peppermint is wonderful to brighten up the atmosphere and get everybody over their hangovers. But we don't want to make it so strong that we're making it toxic for our pets.
Right.
Adhesives and glues, make sure you're putting them away so the animals aren't walking through it and aren't licking it and getting it on their feet. Perfumes and aftershaves that contain alcohol. Boy, this is a big one. I, over the past few years, have gotten away from wearing any perfume. Sometimes I'll spray some essential oils on, but I don't wear perfumes or deodorant anymore.
Okay.
And it's interesting when I'm around people that are heavy perfume wearers. Oh, it just takes you back and you go, wow, that's that's intense. So just be aware of aftershaves and perfumes that contain alcohol in them so that the animals aren't ingesting them, or if a bottle breaks, they don't get into it. Try to stick with more of the natural things and the essential oils. You know, my one little piece on perfumes is that most over-the-counter classic perfumes are just loaded with toxins. Yeah. And that's the reason why I got away from using them. There's so many nasty things in them. They smell wonderful.
Yeah.
But you're absorbing that right through your skin and right up your nose. So it's
Yeah.
going into your lungs, it's going into your skin, and it's really devastating to the immune system.
Yeah,
So
I still wear perfume. It's not like a very super bad one, but I always spray it on my clothes. I don't ever spray it directly on my skin, but I'm still inhaling it and I'm slowly getting away from it. I've been blending a couple different essential oils together. It smells so good, and I actually sprayed it on before I went into the sauna at the gym yesterday. And every woman that walked up the stairs was like, "Oh my God, it smells so good in here." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm on to something. I got this." So I
a
think I
compliment in
found
the gym,
my,
yes.
yeah, I think I found my scent. So we'll see. Yeah.
Very good. We
Yeah.
talked about medications and batteries, making sure things are zipped up, restricting animals to parts of the house using either scat mats or uh, other measures to keep them away, the invisible fence idea. This is another good idea that I like, is creating a safe place for your pet to go and retreat, especially when you have a lot of kids over, and bless their hearts, there some children aren't taught good manners around animals, and they start grabbing and pulling and really annoying these animals. We
Mm-hmm.
recently had a situation where an adorable little girl, but she's just pulling a dog everywhere and
Yeah.
just really wasn't respecting the dog space. So creating a safe place for them to be able to go into their carrier or into a room where they can get away from the crowds, it's a very nice thing to do. A lot of
Totally.
people close their doors, right? So the guests can't get in and see the bedrooms, but then the animal has nowhere to go either.
Right.
So make
Yeah.
sure that they have a place to go.
That's
Making sure your pets are wearing current IDs or that they are microchipped.
okay.
Please, I'm going to repeat that again. When and if, God forbid, these animals get away, all of the animal control centers now do scan for a microchip, and it could be the difference between your pet coming home or your pet being euthanized.
Oh, wow.
So if they can't find you in 2 to 3 days, then that may be too late. So
Right.
make sure that they have some form of ID. The microchip is the ideal because they can't lose their collar. It's on them and
Right.
it's secure, and you don't ever have to do it again. It's a one-time deal. So please do consider microchipping your pets.
That's such an
Um,
important thing to know, because a lot of people, I didn't know you only have that short amount of time. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's really important for everybody to know.
Absolutely. Here's another big area that we want to address in our pets, and that is stress. So, as wonderful as the holidays are, it is also a stressful time of year. And there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on, and these animals are picking up a lot of that stress. So, you can do things like having calming oils in the house. I was just with Mama Z at her house, and we were making uh, pet recipes
Hmm.
that included one which was like a calming spray made
Okay.
out of essential oils. And we had lavender and vetiver in there. And it was just a beautiful, I was using it. It was really lovely to smell that. And so you
Nice.
can get your animals used to that. The key to using things like Rescue Remedy and a homemade preparation is that you need to do that throughout the year,
Right.
not just in the holidays, because they, like us, will associate a smell
Hmm.
with a particular behavior. And so you want to have them sitting on your lap. You want to have calm music going on. We love whole tones, of course, because that is also going to be calming frequencies. And so they associate the frequency, the smell, and whatever you're doing in the
Right.
environment. I encourage people to sit with them so that they feel secure, but don't touch them, because you don't want them relying on your touch to be calm. You want them
Okay.
to rely on the smell or the sounds to be calm, and the
Right.
location. So,
Interesting. That's
mhm,
really good to know.
yeah,
And that's good to know too, about the like doing it throughout the year. And I do see, like, I know my brothers do that with the rescue remedy with their dog when they first got him. They were giving it to him regularly throughout the year, and I don't think they give it to him very often now. They'll give it to him when like guests come over and things like that, and he stays very calm. And
yeah.
I don't pay attention to how often they give it to him anymore, but um,
Well, once the association is made,
yeah.
then you don't have to do it as frequently. But
Okay,
you
very
have to
cool.
create that association.
Okay, neat. So rescue remedy is safe for all pets.
Mhm. It's homeopathic.
Awesome.
Yeah, or you can make an essential oil one.
Yep.
There are herbs that are, we have several that are anti-anxiety
Mm-hmm.
formulas
Okay.
that can be used as well. But again, they are not quick fixes. It's not like you're taking a Valium and relaxing.
Right.
These are things that you would institute knowing the season is coming up. We live in Florida where it's thunderstorm capital USA. So during thunderstorm times here,
Yeah.
it's you got barometric pressures that are changing. You got the lightning that is flashing. You've got the sounds booming, and we have a tremendous amount of thunderstorm anxieties.
Right.
In the wintertime for the holidays, we have fireworks at New Year's. And so a
Okay.
lot of animals have a lot of anxiety, and we've seen animals actually break out of windows and
Wow.
trying to escape. So some animals really freak out.
Yeah.
I think most owners are going to know their pet and they're going to know if it's a problem. So you want to make sure that you have your pet in a safe and secure area and doing things that help them to relax beforehand.
Right.
So that again, there's sensory cued into knowing how to calm themselves.
Yeah. Um, so I do have a question actually. I just was thinking back to last Christmas and I was dog sitting little Hugo because my brothers went away to Australia. So I was lucky to spend a good 10 days with him. But it was like 4 days and it was just a complete snowstorm. Could not leave the house, couldn't take him for a walk, couldn't do anything. It was so crazy. So he was
Wow.
just getting a little like rambunctious, right? He needed his little Frenchton, so he needs his walks. So I was just like playing with him throughout the house as much as possible and doing whatever I could. But is there any tips that you have for a situation like that?
Wow, we don't get snowed in
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah,
So I would say on the exercise realm, you want to create exercise that would enable them to blow off some steam. And that may be running around couches and going through rooms, playing hide and seek.
yeah,
Hide and seek is a great game because you're in a different room and you're hiding and they have to come find you.
right.
So that would be a good engagement exercise to keep them busy.
Okay,
Treadmills, you have to do them carefully, but you can do treadmills
okay,
where the animal is safely on it. You're obviously watching them the whole time and you're standing there, but you can put it on a slow paddle and then they're walking along that. That's a great way to exercise indoors.
well, that'd be
Uh,
so cute too.
I like V Pros, or I don't know what they're like vibration plates.
Okay,
And I work out on my vibration plate a couple times a week when I just want to change up my exercise routine.
yeah,
And you can put the animals on there and it vibrates so that they have to maintain their balance.
okay,
And it works every muscle in their body. And we use it a lot for rehabilitation and for neurologic rehabilitation. But that would be something that if somebody wanted to invest in something that they can use indoors
mm-hmm.
to help exercise without having to go to a gym, that would be a wonderful opportunity to use that.
Perfect.
And I would imagine if you're in a situation like that, I would hope that people have either trained their animals to go potty on a potty pad
Yeah,
indoors if you really can't get outside because they're
yeah,
going to have to go to the bathroom,
yeah.
or create some kind of an indoor outdoor carpet type thing where they have access to being able to go.
Okay.
Uh, I don't live up north, so that's my
Yeah.
disclaimer. I don't
Luckily,
think
he
it's
was
ever
able.
snowed in Florida, at least this far south.
Yeah, it was crazy last year. I remember, and like it was so wild that like you even going out to shovel it was like useless. I mean, it helped because at least it wasn't such a huge pile. But I didn't go out to shovel during the time I had a laser treatment done as well, so I couldn't have that cold air in my face at that time either. And well, I could, but just not with this like the blizzard. I could have had the cold air, just not the snow. And so I left the snow for it was like the 3 days. I had so much snow to shovel once it stopped. It was like 2 hours worth of shoveling. So be very grateful that you're down in Florida and not have to deal with this.
I
up
can't
here.
imagine, right?
It's
We have
insane.
hurricanes.
Yeah. Yes,
We
you
don't
have that. I
shovel
guess.
anything.
We don't have that, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about new pets because there is nothing cuter than opening a box and having a puppy or a kitten in there. And I get that.
Oh my goodness. That's like
However,
my dream.
that
So
is
cute.
not the ideal time to acquire a pet.
Okay, good to know.
I'm going to take a sip of water, Garth, because I've been talking a long time this show. We haven't had any call-ins.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, call-ins, we are open for all your calls if you do have any questions.
Yes, and then I don't have to keep
Come
talking so
on.
much.
Yes.
But this one is a very important topic, and I want people to think about this. Every year, we have people who buy a puppy or a kitten, and then they're going to go away right after Christmas Day. And they're going to go visit family, and they can't take the puppy or kitten with them. And so they end up boarding them or finding a pet sitter. And again, it's just not the ideal time to get a pet. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dangers, as we just went through.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a puppy or a kitten, and they chew on everything.
They don't know what's going on yet.
Right. And then you have to housebreak them, and you're going to have company over, and there's going to be pee and poo in the house. It's just, it really is not the time to create a new pet if you can avoid it.
That's so
true. Whether you want to have a picture or a video or something that says, this is your new baby, that would be cute, or go visit them, but don't bring them home, or however that works out for you. Just be aware of the fact that we have a lot more disasters that happen during that time. And that's a very impressionable period of time for the pet as well. So it's kind of like when you have a baby, there's that impressionable first 5 years. Well, for the pet, it's that first 5 months.
Okay.
So that first couple of weeks during the holidays that animal is in that environment, they need to be taught their manners, and they should be acclimating to the do's and don'ts of your household.
Right.
Being able to take a puppy class or learn about kitty behavior, so that you learn what you should do and shouldn't do, so that they make the best citizen in your home after that. Otherwise, they're going to do what animals do. They're going to use innate knowledge and innate behaviors.
Right.
So that, I think, is a really important topic that I really want to drive that home for people. As cute as it is to have puppies and kittens, this is a really poor time of the year to bring them in the house until you finally settle down and you are ready to pay attention to that animal.
Yeah.
And the kids don't even have that much attention on them, because it's diluted with all these toys. So you've got the puppy and you have all these toys. Who am I going to play with first?
Yeah.
So
that's totally true. I just remembered this really funny story when I was a kid, as you were telling me that. I was like, I swear we got a dog for Christmas one year. And then I was just trying to remember. We didn't. My brother wanted a dog so bad that he bought himself the doggy water dish and the dog food dish, a collar and a leash, and wrapped it to himself from Santa. And was like, oh my God, I'm getting a dog. And he didn't get the dog, but then it was 2 months later my parents got us a dog.
Aww.
So funny. Kids are so
at
cute.
Least it worked. You got the dog.
Yes, totally. But kids are so cute, and like you were saying, it's not the best time for a pet, because there's not only do they have all their toys they want to play with, but they're going to be going to their family's house, playing with their cousins, or playing with other friends, or doing whatever else, and then they have that break from school. But a lot of the times that break is filled with activities that they're doing with their friends and different things like that. So,
and I can't tell you how many animals get dropped, get stepped on, or fall off of furniture, because you get distracted. The kids are playing with them, but then they lose their attention span. And they're little guys. They don't know any difference. And, they don't know how to stay away from being under your feet.
yeah.
And so people trip on them and they step on them, and we see broken legs.
Yeah.
It's really a tremendous thing that you can avoid by just picking your timing a little bit better.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about toys that are good for pets. If you're buying specific toys, you want to find toys that are not chemically laden.
Okay.
You don't want anything that has formaldehyde in it. You want to avoid your plastics. You want to avoid toys that they can chew and chew pieces off or break pieces off. Things that have eyes. They are just great to gnaw on, and then they break them off and they swallow them.
Yeah.
So don't want any parts that come off, and you want it to be of materials that are safe.
Right.
No toxins in them.
Organic materials.
One of the things that we like are, and there's other kinds now, but when the Kong toys, K-O-N-G, came out, those are really great because they're indestructible and they have a healthier rubber type of product, and you can stuff things in them. But there's now all kinds of other toys that you can stuff with food treats.
Yeah.
The point is just be aware of the treats or toys that you're buying for your pets, that they are actually safe. For cats, nothing that have strings on them that they can tear off or swallow.
Okay.
A couple of the toys I really like for cats are fishing pole toys and laser lights. So the fishing pole is where it looks like a fishing pole, and you can toss out the toy that's on the end and kind of wiggle it and reel it in. That's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
toy for them to play with because it helps to hone their hunting skills.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to put your hand underneath the covers and have the kitten jump and follow your hand, because then when they are older and you are sleeping in bed, they will jump and bite your feet or bite your head.
Oh, okay.
And not so much fun when they're older, but it's
Yeah.
cute when they're little. I get it.
So cute.
Yeah, you don't want them chewing on you.
Right.
And puppies, don't be giving them your old shoes because they don't know the difference between your old shoes and your brand new Louis.
Ooh, yes.
So give them appropriate toys that are right for them from the get-go.
Also, don't give them old socks either then, because they'll go after your new socks.
Oh, I'll tell you this, one of the saddest emergencies I ever saw was an owner who had taken pantyhose
Mm-hmm.
and they made a knot at both ends of the pantyhose, and then the dog would play tug of war with the pantyhose.
Yeah.
But she swallowed it one day.
Oh no.
And I don't know if they realized that that was what she had swallowed, but they brought her in and she wasn't feeling right. She was vomiting, and you can't see it radiographically. So all we could see was that there was a vomiting dog, and you couldn't really see the foreign body. Well, one half of that stocking went through and left the stomach, and the other side got stuck in the stomach.
Oh.
And so it became tighter and tighter and tighter. The gut's a tremendous force.
Yeah.
And so it's pulling the pantyhose tighter and tighter until it was almost like a knife. It was so tight, and it just sawed through all the intestines. It was
Ooh.
horrible.
Oh my goodness.
So be careful of what toys you're giving. I can't emphasize enough that they should be thoughtfully looked at, and can they chew it, and can they break it? Can they swallow it? Can they get hurt by it? Is there any toxins in it? Those are all questions you should be asking when you're looking at toys.
Right.
Just like with children, they don't make all the toys out there that are safe.
Yeah.
And so pet parents have to take some discerning looks at what they're actually purchasing.
Totally. And that's a big thing to pay attention to. Like, even with your kids, just because they're toys and they're on the market for children doesn't mean they're safe. Same with pet toys. It doesn't mean they're actually safe for your pets. But what is that like with bringing in, like, for instance, a child with an old stuffed animal, and you give that stuffed animal to the pet? Is there like certain regulations that they have over pet toys versus like stuffed animals? I don't know if they like make them in a certain way.
I don't think so. I'm not aware of anything, but we do get a lot of animals that will tear the toys and eat the stuffing out.
Yeah.
So if you're going to start, make sure that you are given that toy while you're observing them. And you can tell if your dog is destructive or not. If they are the kind of dog that will just tear things apart really quickly, that's not a good toy for them.
Yeah.
But if you see that it's just wear and tear, and as soon as you start seeing that there's some wear and tear on that toy, then just get rid of it.
Right. Okay. Good to know. Good.
So I'm almost a wrap for all the things that I had thought of.
All
I
right.
do want to leave everybody with a phone number to Poison Control
Perfect.
and the ASPCA. So there's a pet poison helpline, and the number is 1-800-213-6680. And if you're ever in doubt of something that your animal has been exposed to, then you can call them. They do charge for the phone call, and they're going to get the right information to you so that if you do need medical care, they will tell you to contact your veterinarian, and then they will consult with the veterinarian to come up with the best treatment plan for that particular problem.
Wonderful.
And there's one other agency called the ASPCA. It's an Animal Poison Control Center, and they are a 24-hour, I have the number. It's 1-888, the number 4, ANI help. I hope that's correct, guys, because I did not check that out. But it's Animal Poison Control, ASPCA, and you can look it up online.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much
So
for all of that
that's
amazing
what I
advice.
have. I
Yeah.
apologize for all the. I'm in my salt room, and we had 2 salt therapies,
Okay.
so I'm actually breathing in salt, and it's clearing my lungs.
Oh, well, that's not a
So
bad
I'm
thing.
sitting there going, sorry.
No, you're all good. You did a lot of talking, so it's
Yes.
understandable. And thank you so much for everything you shared. You're always full of so much knowledge and wisdom, and it's so much fun learning from you and just being a part of this show with you.
Well, hopefully, all that knowledge and wisdom will save somebody from having a sad outcome.
Totally, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be sharing this with all of my pet lovers out there so that they have the best holiday season with their little fur babies. And I hope everybody out there does the same so that everybody has a very healthy and beautiful holiday season. And this was our last episode of Pet Star for the year.
No, for the
I
year.
know.
Oh, I'm
It,
so sad.
I know, but
It's been a fantastic year, and I'm so grateful for Dr. Wolfe for mentioning it and making it happen. It's been a great year.
yes, it has been. It's been such an honor to host it with you. And I wish you and all your loved ones the happiest of holidays and an extra happy new year. And I can't wait to see what 2019 takes us. Pet Star will be resuming on January 23rd. And again, our show times will always be at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I can't wait to see where the new year takes us. It's going to be wonderful.
And our first show is going to be what were the highlights of 2018?
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited to hear all these stories because I know they're going to be really good.
Awesome. Blessings,
Wonderful.
everybody.
Blessings.
Mwah.
You take care, Dr. Marlene Siegel. It's always a pleasure. And
Thanks, Abby.
thank
You too.
you. And everybody, happy holidays. I will see you again on December 18th with Dr. Darrell Wolfe for Braveheart Nation, where we will be helping you thrive through this holiday season. And for the full Doc of Detox show schedule, you can go to docofdetoxshow.com. We do have some of our 2019 shows up there, and we will be updating the full list within the next week or two. So you can go there to check it out. And we will see you all on the 18th. Thank you so much and have a great evening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.